Hello.
Hello everyone, my name is Giacomo and with me today there is Marcello. We're both project designers and facilitators working in the field of social research and youth-led initiatives such as VIBE, the project that made this initiative possible. So the creation of the Meta Podcast possible. We'll be your host for today's episode where we'll explore together the opportunities that creative initiatives can find within Erasmus+. A quick note before we begin. Today we won't focus on programs that specifically fund the creation of podcasts or other digital products. However, Erasmus+ offers a lot of flexibility when it comes to designing creative outputs such as podcasts, documentaries, and many other formats. So let's start with a very simple question. What is Erasmus+? Erasmus+ is the European Union's program supporting education, training, youth and sport across Europe. Historically speaking, the program was officially launched in 2014 by the European Union, by the European Commission, and at the time when Europe was struggling with some important social and economic challenges following the financial crisis of 2007. Many countries were dealing with high levels of youth unemployment, social inequality, growing skepticism towards the European Union, and so Erasmus Plus can also be conceived as a response to this context, bringing together several previous education programs into a larger initiative. So the idea was not only to support learning and mobility, but also strengthen solidarity and cooperation between countries. For the Erasmus Plus works by cycles, which last 6 years. For the 2021-2027 cycle, Erasmus Plus promotes some key priorities that all projects are expected to address. So all the projects that we're going to see later. The first one is inclusion and diversity, so equal opportunities and access for all. The second one is environmental sustainability and the fight against climate change, supporting environmental protection and green transition. The third one is digital transformation, so the use of digital tools and acquirement of digital competencies. And the last one is participation in democratic life, so promoting citizens' engagement and active involvement at all levels, so local level, national level, and European level. So keep in mind those key areas when you're going to design the project that you want. Through all these initiatives, Erasmus reaches a wide range of beneficiaries, high school students, informal groups of youth, university students, researchers, trainers, facilitators, and many others. All the funding and opportunities are divided into three main categories: Key Action 1, Key Action 2, and Key Action 3. Key Action 1, which my colleague Marcello will speak about, supports mobility projects allowing individuals, such as students, youth workers, informal groups of young people, to gain learning experiences abroad. So it's mostly about mobilities. Key Action 2, which I will cover, focuses on partnerships that aim to develop innovative outputs in education and fosters cooperation between European organizations. And now I'll hand it over to my colleague Marcello, who will dive deeper into the Key Action 1.
Hello everyone, I'm very glad to be with you today. As my colleague Giacomo said, Erasmus Plus projects in Key Action 1 focus on individual mobility. The main objective is to offer training, internship, teaching or job shadowing opportunities abroad for students, teaching staff, youth workers and young people in general. This type of project therefore focuses on individual growth, for example, on language learning, intercultural awareness, employability and self-confidence. These are very flexible, accessible and short-term projects. The projects are very varied. If you want to have a first experience and you are not very familiar with the language, you can participate in a youth exchange. If you want to train on a team, you can choose to do something about the training. In both cases, there is the possibility of confronting people across Europe, and this gives great value to learning. Then there are more structured activities, such as youth participation activities, which include routes which aim to have a local impact. There are no Erasmus program projects dedicated to podcasts specifically. The trick is to choose projects that focus on this topic. This way you can find accessible and highly valuable opportunities. One element that should not be overlooked is that it is possible to certify the skills acquired for participation in one of these projects through the Youth Pass, which is a certificate recognized at European level. And now, the dear Giacomo will talk you about the Key Action 2 of the Erasmus program.
Thanks, Marcello. And now let's dive a little bit deeper into Key Action 2 projects, which may be a good source of funding if you want to create digital output, so such as a podcast. So Key Action 2 focuses on cooperation and partnerships between organizations across different countries. While Key Action 1, as my colleague said, is mostly about mobilities, Key Action 2 is about organizations working together to create something new. So in this case, the importance of innovative output is capital. These projects bring together different kind of entities, such as schools, universities, youth organizations, NGOs, research centers, public institutions and other actors to share practices, experiment methods, design new outputs. For example, Key Action 2 can create a new training program, educational tools, digital platforms, toolkit, research or creative products such as podcast documentaries or media campaigns. So, same as for Key Action 1, even if Erasmus Plus doesn't specifically fund a podcast project, Key Action 2 initiatives can be a great solution as part of a broader educational and youth initiative. Another key element of Key Action 2 is international cooperation. So, partners from different countries collaborate, exchange knowledge, learn from each other. But it doesn't stop there. The results are expected to be reusable and transferable, meaning that, and that's a specific question in the formulary, they need to target some beneficiaries outside the partnership, so other organizations, European citizens in general, and so on. Key Action 2 are divided into small-scale partnerships and cooperations partnerships. The structure is pretty much the same. The difference is mostly within the maximum amount of budget you can ask for. So small-scale partnerships can apply for a total grant, maximum total grant of 60,000 euros. While Key Action 2 cooperation partnerships from 60,000 euros up to 450,000 euros. So cooperation partnerships, small-scale partnerships are designed to widen access to the program to small-scale actors and individuals who were hard to reach by the Erasmus Plus program. So here I'm talking about newcomer organizations, less experienced organizations, and also less experienced professionals who want to start approaching more complex projects with respect to Key Action 1 initiatives. Cooperations partnerships instead are larger and more structured projects. they are designed for organizations that work together more strategically and that have already a certain level of experience in Erasmus Plus and in European projects. So the focus is not just on activities, but on improving the quality and relevance of organizations themselves. So again, also if you are aiming for something bigger than a single podcast, such as a digital campaign or a more complex digital output, cooperations partnerships are a good solution. So to conclude, Erasmus Plus offers far more opportunities that you initially imagine, even though it does not directly fund podcast projects as a standalone category. It provides space, resources, and also flexibility to integrate digital outputs into broader educational youth initiatives. So whether you are an individual looking for an international learning experience, or you are part of an organization ready to collaborate with partners across Europe, there is room to experiment, innovate, and again, try Erasmus+. So if you're interested in digital communication, storytelling, you might join, for example, a training course or a youth exchange to build your skill. Or if you're a more experienced professional, you can look for a partner to design a cooperation partnerships and develop your own innovative media projects. So in the end, Erasmus Plus is not just about traveling or funding activities, it's about creating connection, learning from one another, and turning creative ideas into concrete change.
Okay.
Now I'll hand it over to Marcello for the project management part.
Okay, so thanks Giacomo for your majestic explanation of the Erasmus programs. Now, you know how to make a podcast and how to get funds for doing it by Erasmus Plus projects. Now let's talk about how to make the podcast. More specifically, let's talk about all the management duties you have to do, all the stuff you have to assess even before starting to record your podcast. The first answer you have to give yourself is about the purpose of the podcast. Why am I doing a podcast? The answer is up to you, but I can say that this answer is very important because on this answer depends a list of things. First thing first, based on the purpose of your podcast, you have to assess what tone of voice you want to use during your podcast. Obviously, if you are going to talk about murders and mysteries, you need a more mysterious voice. If you are talking about the news of the week, you can use a more formal voice. If your program is just you saying whatever puts up in your head, you can use a more calm, a more funny voice tone, etc. On the purpose of your podcast also depends the type of preparation you have to assess for your podcast. Like, if you are going to talk about a very specific topic, maybe a technical topic, maybe you need an interview. Maybe you need an expert that you can interview and that can explain the point surely better than you will do. So, if you want to interview someone, you have to do a research. You have to do a research of possible expert that you can engage. You have to manage and coordinate with those experts, obviously, because if we are recording on Saturday and on Saturday he can come to the studio, you can't record. So I think maybe Giacomo, you can confirm that's a really important point of the whole stuff. The second answer you have to give to yourself is what type of podcast I want to do. This is also a very important answer because, like, if you want to do a more, let's call it, radio style podcast, obviously you'll need music, because usually radio programs have like little interludes between speaking sessions. So if you are doing a radio style program, you have to choose music, you have to select music, you have to assess that the music that you choose is the right music for the topic you are going to talk about. Obviously, you can't talk about murders and child kidnapping and put like Taylor Swift songs between it, because it will kill the atmosphere, you know? And the atmosphere is a very important thing in podcasts and audio products, social products in general. On the type of podcast, also depends the flow of your speaking. You can speak more faster, more fast-paced, or you can talk very calmly, very gently. You can cuddle your listener while he listens. In the end, there are like standard stuff you have to do. The final answer you have to give to yourself is what I need to do this podcast. So when you decide to produce a podcast, you have to assess that you have a whole list of materials. We have physical materials, the hardware of your podcast. You certainly need a microphone. You certainly need a stand for the microphone. You need cables. Usually the cable that we use is the Canon cable. You need obviously headphones to listen to yourself while you speak, because if you don't listen to yourself, you can't know how you are speaking. You don't know if the voice is being recorded correctly and stuff. Obviously, you need a recording software. And you need also a computer. There are many recording softwares. There is Audacity, that's very simple to use. It's the software we are going to use to edit this radio episode, so it can do also editing. In my NGO, we usually use Sam Broadcaster. That's a Canadian broadcaster software. And these are the standard, the mandatory materials. But if you want, you can also use a mixer to control each microphone separately, to control all the inputs and all the outputs in a more clear way. You can use preamplificators to control the level of the headphones and to guarantee that all the people you invited to speak have a headphone on their head. If you want to go live streaming, you need a live streaming software. The software that we use, Sam Broadcaster, does also live streaming. If you want to go on video, maybe you can use a webcam or stuff like that. And apart from mechanical resources, mechanical tools, we have also, obviously, human resources. We can say that for making a podcast, you basically need even one person. Even one person can do a podcast on themselves. So I'm going to talk more about skills than actual people, actual rules. You have to know how to use all the tools that you are using to record. So technical skills, technical audio skills. If you are going to make some edits, you have to know how to make those edits. So also audio technical skills. And also, obviously, you need someone with a beautiful, warm, convincing, engaging voice to speak at the microphone. So you need the host, you need the radio speaker, you need someone who can introduce the topics, who can make interviews and stuff like that. Talking about interviews, if you are going to do an interview, also the person that you are going to interview is also a human resource. And that's the last skill we can say, that's the actual knowledge of the topic you are going to talk about. When you assess, last thing, the most important thing, because you obviously need a place that's the right place, a quiet place, comfortable, cozy, when maybe if you need privacy, a place with a lot of privacy. That's, I think, maybe the most important thing, because if you don't have a place, it's very, very hard to actually record the podcast in the most perfect way, okay? So, when you assess all those needs that you have, when you give all those answers to yourself, you can think about the structure of the podcast. So, the script. So, who is going to talk? Who is going to say what? How the topic is going to be divided. I talked about radio programs with music that interludes the speaking sessions. So if you do a radio style program, you need to write the script including also the songs. So you have to give the podcast a more strict structure, because you have not so many time to talk. You have the songs that puts away time, because obviously you can talk as long as you want, but I don't know if someone is really going to listen to a podcast that's like 2 hours. So it's up to you. It's up to you. And so, when you have wrote the podcast, when you have collected all the materials, the stuff, the skills, etc., you decide the day, you decide the place, and you have just to make your podcast.
Thanks, Marcello. And this was the last topic that we touched today. And thanks for your attention. And I just wanted to say that this single episode is just part of a bigger production, which is going to be the Meta Podcast. So don't forget to listen to all the other episodes. And thanks a lot, and have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.